Additional public comment? Okay. Since no additional public comment, we'll bring it back to the board. Mr. Nowosad, would you like to weigh in on this? Do you have anything that you wish to?
Yes. I was also struck by the extensive qualifications of Mr. Michael Johnson.
Commissioner Rice.
I have to make a disclosure. Two of the candidates I consider as friends. I have known them over 20 years. I have seen Mr. Johnson acting as a pro tem justice of the peace. I have served on several committees with Mr. Gardner, and I have to say that my relationship with either one of them have no bearing on my decision today. Thank you.
Commissioner Tarkanian, you wish to weigh in on this? One of the two of you.
I have some preliminary things, and then I'm ready to share thoughts if that's where we're at. First, I want to disclose that I received a campaign contribution from Mr. Gardner, and that is not technically required because it's already a matter of public record, but I want everyone to know that, to be transparent. Second, I want to say that I don't believe Mr. Gardner listened to the other questions. I believe he is a man of integrity. Third, I want to say that having to feel this responsibility to appoint one of these three is very humbling. It is not a comfortable position to assess and compare three people who I think would all do a very good job. I respect each of them, and I very much appreciate their sincere willingness to serve the community. So I've approached this carefully and given it a lot of thought, and I just wanted to say I feel very humbled by having to do this. Here are my thoughts on the candidates. I appreciate the strengths of each of them, and the strengths that I see are these. For Miss Mohiuddin, I don't think I've quite finessed that last name right, but sort of kind of close. Okay. All right. I really like your energy. I really like your sincerity. And I think it's a great strength that you have dealt extensively in family law in matters of highly emotional situations and domestic violence and all of that, I think, is a strength that you bring with your application. Mr. Johnson, extensive preparation for the job, to the point of, for several years, continuing legal education, which attorneys have to do so many hours of every year on judicial topics. And your knowledge of the position is extensive, having served as pro tem, and also taking a lot of time to consider what the job would be and learn about it and be really ready for it. And finally, perhaps your biggest strength is just your experience in the law for a long time. And I guess also I would say, as has been noted, many, many, many letters of support. turning to Mr. Gardner, the two, in my opinion, best answers were when I asked you, how would you avoid judicial arrogance? And you referred to faith and family, and then some other things. And to me, that's critical, is having practices in place to make sure that you, as a judge, that you, whoever is appointed, avoids the black robe disease that is more common than anyone would want. The other answer that I really liked is when I asked, how would you impact, how have you seen a life impacted for the better by a justice of the peace? And you gave a very specific answer to that, and I really appreciated that. So, Mr. Gardner, I see your strengths as your long-term, strong community service. And your interpersonal skills. I think you kind of view this position in the same way that I do, that you can do a lot of good as a justice of the peace. So those are the takeaways that I kind of have summed up, having read all the materials and been through the interviews. And I have to say, because we have to do this, sadly, that because of my leaning, and I want to hear what the rest of you would have to say, but because of the extensive preparation, the front runner for me is Mr. Johnson.
So I'm going to concur with the reasons of the strengths of the three candidates, as Commissioner Hales has stated. I think Mr. Gardner's strength is his long standing within the community, his family, the involvement they've had, the relationships, the building of the community. When you're going to be judging items that are coming before him dealing with the Lake Tahoe community, nobody knows that better. And I think what Commissioner Hales said about the other two candidates is very true, and I think I've expressed that to both also. I've had a chance to speak to all three of them. I would like to say, though, there's been some real tough shots taken at Mr. Gardner. One was him not being here on time for his interview, and I asked him about that. As I mentioned, I spoke to all three candidates before the meeting, and he said he was told this item was going to be on the agenda, I think it was number 5, and then it was moved up to number 1, and he was not aware of that, and he got there by 10:30, I think he said. So there was an explanation that I found satisfactory. I would hate to make a decision, be the person making the deciding factor here, because I think all three candidates are extremely good and will do a great job.
So you're not going to express a preference? Okay.
My last line statement.
Okay. And Commissioner Rice?
Now that I've given my disclosure, I'm going to disclose my uncomfort having to make this decision. I do not know one of the candidates at all. But two of the candidates I have known for a good number of years, and I know them to both be very upstanding citizens and very knowledgeable in their profession and their craft. This has been a very difficult decision for me. I went to the people who actually have to interface with the Justice of the Peace at the lake. And to a person, they all recommended that we go with Mr. Johnson. And as uncomfortable as that makes me feel, because I hate choosing between friends, I'm afraid that that's the direction I'm going to have to go.
Okay. So I too am torn on this. I have relationships with the Gardner family. In full disclosure, no relation that I'm aware of or they're aware of. But I too am torn on this. I know that that Ms. Mohiduddin and the supporters of her have come forward and talked about her extensive service in regards to family law. And then when I talk with other justices of the peace and with other judges and other individuals in the in the judicial system, it's my understanding that the family law decisions go before the district courts, not the justice of the peace. So that concerns me. That you know. So, anyways, so that gets me down to the two individuals, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Gardner, and so. I too share Commissioner Hales. I'm extremely humbled by this responsibility, I should say, not opportunity, but responsibility. It's not an easy, and something that I never imagined sitting in this chair that I would be responsible for doing. We had the passing of Judge Jones last year, and we were struck with an individual that we were able to fill in that position in Mr. Gilbert, who is retiring at the end of this calendar year, or no, the next calendar year, right? Next calendar year. So he will not be running for re-election, and that's the struggle we also have, is that this judgeship is up for re-election in January. I believe filing takes place and the actual election, the primary will take place in, as I understand it, in June, if there are more than two candidates, but we'll go to November of next year if there's only two candidates. So that's what I'm struck with. But anyways, I will. I will accede to the majority of the board here, because I think that we have two excellent candidates in either Michael Johnson or Mr. Gardner. So, anyways, Commissioner Nowosad, you have your microphone on. You wanted to add
I'd like
something?
to make a motion. Motion to appoint Michael K. Johnson to serve as Justice of the Peace for the Tahoe Townships through January 5th, 2025, consistent with the NRS 245.170, and confirm the compensation will be consistent with Resolution 2017R-091.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Nowosad, seconded by Commissioner Rice, to appoint Michael Johnson to the remaining term of Honorable Richard Glasson, pursuant to NRS 245.170, and confirm the compensation to be consistent with Resolution 2017 R-091. Any further discussion, Commissioners? Sensing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0 then. Ms. Mohiduddin, Mr. Gardner, Mr. Johnson, thank you for your applications and interest in this. And Mr. Johnson, I guess you, by this vote of this board, assume office and go to work tomorrow morning, right? Today, okay. Do you have anything you wish to share with us in advance of that? I'll let the three applicants come in if they wish to, but Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm really honored and humbled by your decision. I'd like to point out, I'd like to acknowledge that Rick and Cynthia, Mr. Gardner and Ms. Mohiuddin submitted excellent applications, so much so that I'm sure they made your job difficult in making this selection. I want to thank you for this appointment. The Tahoe Justice Court has an excellent reputation to uphold, and I'm going to do my best to continue that. Thank you.
Ms. Mohiduddin, Mr. Gardner, anything you wish to add? No? Okay.
just want to say it was a privilege going through this process with you all, and I wish Michael Johnson the best, and congratulations. I think the best candidate, one of the best two candidates succeeded, and I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Once again, thank you all.